Flustered.
It's something nobody's ever used for a sound check.
Based upon the quality and quantity of the data they continue to return.
Rush. Welcome to the Exploding Paella podcast.
With me, Jose. Oh, every time.
And me, Shotty. You'll find us on YouTube, Rumble and Spotify. Wherever you are listening, please do like, follow and subscribe. Also check the description for more information where you'll find a link to our Patreon page. And if you head over there, you'll get access to exclusive content. You'll also find a link to our website. Go over there, check that out. There'll be some stuff on there as well. Thank you very much. Hello.
I was expecting you to finish that with goodbye and just walk off.
Could have done. Took long enough.
Maybe you should have done. You alright?
Not too bad.
Good.
All right now. So we're running late, aren't we?
We are running a bit late today.
Yeah.
It's been a busy day.
Yeah, but that's fine. What do you know?
What
What's
do I
been
know?
going on? What's
That's
in the news? What's
big
happening?
question.
What's been going on?
Well, I was thinking. So obviously, there's been a lot going on in the news cycles and etc. And then personally, I've had a bit of a time of change and reflection.
Okay.
And I was thinking, in some instances when you've got, we get very wrapped up with what's in the news cycles and whatnot. And sometimes you do just need to have that reset where you just kind of take a step back and stop over focusing on everything. Because it's all too easy in the modern era to just get, tied up in everything. You feel constantly stressed out. You don't know why.
Yeah.
And just to I've just been trying to practice a bit more mindfulness and just
Right.
not overthinking.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something I can be very prone to, and it never really does me any favours.
No.
And I think a lot of people at the moment, with the uncertainties we've had for 5 years now since COVID.
Yeah, it feels
It's
like that, doesn't it?
It feels like we all just need to take a step back, take a breath.
They don't make it easy for us, though, do they?
No.
It's the amount of bad stories, negative stories, in contrast to the positive ones. You know what I mean? It's
but positive stories don't sell papers, do they? Or
no,
nothing sells papers anymore.
No, or there's that kind of like view of keeping us in fear.
Yeah, there is that. I mean,
as a tactic.
It's
whether that's true or not. I'm saying it is.
Well, fear is one of the strongest emotions, isn't it? So it's the easiest thing to use. I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I may have mentioned it before, but like the Germans pre-World War II, and when Hitler started, going off the rails and doing things that were questionable, in some respects you have to feel a little bit sorry for the average person, because they probably didn't agree with anything he was doing.
No.
But it was a case of, if you wanted to stand up against it, you were going to end up the same way as all the people he was against. And it's a bit like that with Iran at the moment. Like, there's probably a lot of people in Iran who don't agree with the government. But what do they do?
Yeah.
If you go out in the streets, you're potentially going to get shot, or, and we kind of take it for granted, because that's not going to happen here. If you want to go and protest, the worst thing can happen. You could get arrested, but at the moment, you're not going to get shot. Very unlikely.
No, but it's almost, you can see it edging towards that when you look at the amount of people that are getting arrested for social media posts which are anti-government or questioning the government. That's happening, when you listen to other people talking about it, they say it's crazy what's happening in the UK. And, I think there was like a number, it was in the thousands of the people in the UK that have been arrested for social media posts, especially ones that question this, that and the other about the establishment, if you like, compared to Russia, which was like a few hundred.
I have to just interject
of
quickly.
course, yeah.
Are we happy with the menacing?
No, we used him last week.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thing.
Sorry,
I was really
we
disappointed
tomato. I mean, is it champagne time?
No.
It's far too early for champagne.
This thing, yeah.
You like that one because it's soft. Soft to the touch. I think that was your first observation.
Well,
the owl. This thing, it's blatantly an owl.
There you go, owl.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah,
sorry about that. But yeah, like compared to... Anyway, I mean, it's... You can kind of see it might be going... No, it's not as extreme as other countries when it's things like that. But actually what you're talking about actually goes on in quite a few countries. You know, if you, in North Korea, China, blah, 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 that kind of, you know...
Yeah.
I suppose those kind of regimes, isn't it? But, going back to what you were saying about sort of Germany and stuff and... Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
it's sidetracked now by the time.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. But yeah, it's always an interesting one for me because like whenever you realise how much the news is swayed, and you realise how much history is written by the winners, and that's swayed, and like you think about when we were kids and what we were taught as history and. There's probably quite a lot of opposing arguments to a lot of what we were taught, or we were like. I remember never learning anything about the American Civil War, not even a mention that we were part of that.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It was always it seemed to be the same, things, didn't it? Sort of like queued up that like history, so to speak. I suppose it kind of has to be like that, or
it does.
What do you pick and choose, or you know what I mean?
But it's like, I would like to think now that if they talked about the Second World War, the American Civil War, that they would mention how we were part of that and why it was, why it was a civil war and whatnot,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But also, like that sort of curriculum in the United States, what portions of history, compared to what we focus on over here. Would they again, they probably that's probably the first thing they teach, but we are. Yeah. So even though we were involved, I mean, that's it's still the American Civil War, so it's more likely to be taught in American schools. Is what I'm saying. But I do get where you're coming from. Yeah, and I think you can just see it going in that direction, can't you? There was a thing that popped up on Facebook about the definitions of a communist country.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it said the leader does X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And it was basically saying everything that Keir Starmer had done up to now. Do you know what I mean?
I can believe
it. Was like, it was borderline the actions of a communist regime and listed all these steps that he'd taken.
Yeah.
And... but the thing is that, don't they say that like communism kind of creeps up slowly and it pretends to be something that it's
what's
not.
Interesting is we're in kind of a populist moment as well at the moment. So you've got a lot of people that are against sort of people having private wealth, which does also tie into communism.
Yeah.
So it's I think quite often communism comes off the back of when democracy doesn't work, or if it's in something like China, then it comes off the back of when obviously they've had a very authoritarian and they go, communism, it'll be, because quite often it's sold as being democratic as well, when it's very rarely and it very rarely works, because you normally find that when you look at different countries that have done it, that you still end up with this ruling class. It's not all everyone's equal, it's all divided. So I mean,
just have to say, won't we? I mean,
we're definitely at a time of like political change, and at the moment, you kind of feel like there's got to be a breakdown of the current political system for it to change to the point where it's better. It's just, does that breakdown in the meantime mean that it's worse for a bit? If you know what I mean.
I think it also ties into like the amount of surveillance and monitoring and this, that, and the other, and. There's a lot of platforms and space for free speech, which online can become problematic. For governments and stuff. You can see that kind of thing happening, and especially if somebody has the potential to gain a huge following. Then the government are going to pay very closely to what that person is saying. But again, it's not right to start clamping down on free speech and censoring the internet because of that. That's dangerous territory. And who's that guy, Samuel? he talks about finance, and he teaches finance and tells people how to Samuel Leeds,
right,
and start up businesses and sell. And he basically teaches people what he's done with his business and how you basically don't have to pay any tax.
Right.
And this kind of these systems whereby you buy this property and you offset it with this much, you actually don't own anything.
No.
And it's all about the cash flow, and he talks about it in depth and teaches a lot of people with this course that he does how people can do this with their businesses and avoid paying any tax.
Right.
And he actually became the subject in the Houses of Parliament. And they were talking about Samuel Leeds and his videos and how it was damaging. And then they basically came after him, right, to say that he can't keep selling his course and this, that and the other. So in the end, to try and, I don't know, get one up on them, he started giving his course away for free.
Right.
Because that way they couldn't say anything because he wasn't actually selling something or making money. And they'd put out quite a few false claims, I think, that he was making millions out of people and doing people. And, he'd done this video to explain how, because he'd been helping people do what all of those do, all those rich people do, like it's all right for them to do it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, legal tax avoidance is a massive industry.
Yeah, and he was teaching other people how to do it, and he became the subject in Parliament, and they talked about what they're going to do about him. And I think that's what I mean, in the sense of people have the power now to gain a massive following. And that's kind of...
It's scary for politicians and government,
but that is just the nature of it now. And, if they start censoring the internet and, as soon as somebody starts rallying up support for something, and then they take that they've got to take that down, or worse yet, put them in prison for 6 months because they questioned a certain inquiry or whatever in the thing, then it's an interesting time. And that kind of, to be able to censor people for whatever reason, obviously protecting people online from hate speech, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when people get political backing or have a political opinion or are able to really voice negative opinions about the government, and millions of people get behind it, then in a democracy people should have the right to do that. And if you start to censor that or control that, isn't that a tiny step towards that kind of communism definition of removing free speech?
Or authoritarianism, or
that's the authoritarian overreach. We don't like what you're saying, so we're going to take it down, which is different to hate speech and racial attacks and that.
Definitely.
That's a different thing
for hundreds
altogether,
of years we were supposed to be able to peaceful protest, speaker's corner, all those kind of things, and then that's kind of been eroded over the last 10 years.
That's what I mean.
Massively. And the thing that I find strange, though, is that as social media's got more prevalent, obviously they've tried to erode our rights. Anyone can see that. It's not like a point of contention or anything. But the thing that I find strange is, for once, it's a government policy that spanned multi-governments. Now, why is that? Is that because it's not being dictated by the current sort of government, as it were, and it's more of like a political overview that's been sort of agreed upon in the House of Lords, and as each government... Because the other thing about government is there's a lot of sort of staff in the background that never change. So you can have policy that runs multi-governments that, that's pushed by other people. And I mean, if you look at like the Conservatives, you've got the commission that run the Conservatives. If they've got a narrative that they've agreed that they want to push over a period of time, that's still going to keep, they're still going to keep trying to do that, whether they're in power or not.
I mean, the legislation and stuff that gets through is kind of, it's a shared vote, isn't it? In the House of Commons and stuff. It's just depending on, obviously, Labour's approach and manifesto and everything else that the side that Labour sits on when it comes to certain things, there's more chance of some legislation coming through than others. But generally, when it's something like an online safety bill, or the what's it?
Communication Act.
No, the police and schools bill or something. Police and there's one that's being talked about at the minute. Yeah, the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill.
Okay.
Yeah. It's being talked
Sounds
about
like it's about education, but clearly not.
Yeah, well, it's about they're going to give each child like an identifying number.
Are they going to microchip them like a cat?
Well, you say that like that's
Are they going to
funny,
stamp
but
the number like they did in Auschwitz on your arm or something? Yeah.
So you talk a couple of generations down the line, they'll be on this digital identity database with everything connected. So that's your medical records, your banking records, your insurance, and everything else. It's essentially like, you know, and we'll have to look into this, and maybe this is one thing that we need to talk about in more detail on another podcast. And we'll try and find as much information as we can to either debunk or support the claims that people are purporting, whatever. I think with this, it's almost like everything they want from a digital ID system, which obviously people have their reservations about when it comes to privacy, and also, you know, it's like having your insurance linked to your, you know, bank account and everything else, and this, that, and the other. From a security point of view as well, that if that information gets hacked, which we know this kind of happens, there's for the benefits on an individual level as a member of society are very low. The benefits for government and tax and monitoring and everything else, and being able to keep track of your activities, that's an obvious benefit there. So, and also the risk potential of having a centralized database like that, as we know. So when you look at it on that, the benefit for as an individual is kind of low. So what's it all about? People have reservations about a digital ID system, you know. But it's almost like the hallmarks of enrolling every child into a digital identification system from school, so that by the time they get to 18, they've all of these metrics are like tied to one thing.
I mean, if you look at, you know, you look at that thing, even we've seen it 100 times over with different things. It's always a case of push an idea, too much pushback, roll back on it. Push an idea, bit less pushback, but roll back on it. And they keep doing that, sowing the seeds until you know, till we accept it, because it's then like enough people have heard it enough times that they've got their head around it, you know, and just go, oh, okay. So like you're saying, you know, if you start kids with the idea that you have a digital ID, and that allows you to be safe at school, and them know where you are, and go into lunch and get your free meal, and all these other things that they can tie into it. Then when you become 18, 21, whatever, and someone says, oh, you need a digital ID, you're like, well, I've had one of them the whole of my life. It's not in it, you know. It was like when, you know, when you had your student card. And had your name and your photo on and everything. And then you got a driving license, and you're like, oh, yeah, well, that's normal, because that's how IDs are. It's just that same thing, isn't it? You know?
That driver's license is, you know, it's there, you hold it. I mean, the bill focuses on making sure no child falls through the gaps between different services, and that families can get help when they need it. But the whole sort of baseline idea of giving each child an identification number, that's kind of, as long as it stays systematical like that, then, I mean, here's like a prospect of, let's say your car insurance is a certain amount, but on this system you buy X amount of alcohol per week, or you're not eating healthy. This might even be linked soon to an app that's monitoring your heart rate and sleep and everything else. That's not too far-fetched.
No.
We kind of have that, and it might be mandated that everybody has to have that to reduce NHS waiting times or whatever. So then you're now getting monitored by your movements, your GPS, your heart rate and everything else. That's not that far away.
No,
it really isn't. You know, and then you've got this entire thing, and then your car insurance goes up because you're buying a lot of alcohol. You know,
or you got high blood pressure because your watch is telling your phone, and your phone
or you haven't been sleeping much, so you're that sounds far-fetched, and whether that would happen, you know, in a system like that. But what it's kind of suggesting is that that's how interconnected everything would be. And, you know, with the carbon credit system as well, all
the
tied
framework's
into this
all there.
So you've driven your car 3 times this week. You've used up this many carbon credits. You can't do this. You can't do that. Your travel's restricted. They can do all of that with a system like that. Whether you sit there speculating as to whether they will or not, it depends on the government that's in power. It depends on whether it's necessitated by some kind of crisis or.
Well, what's interesting is we have like this big net zero goals here.
Yeah.
So carbon credits would work for like social carbon scoring. In China, they're not so focused on carbon credits, but they're focused on social scoring for basically making sure you're not saying something against the government.
Yeah.
So people have had their bank accounts frozen. And, I mean, there's a big billionaire who got locked up for like 20 years. Chinese billionaire owned. It was a massive company, and it escapes me. It was something like he owned Alibaba or something like one of the big marketplaces.
I remember hearing that.
And he got basically locked up for being anti-government.
Yeah.
So it's like all the, it doesn't seem to matter where you are in the world. There's a use for this kind of, these kind of systems. And obviously, as long as there is some kind of will for that, wherever you are, then there's no reason why everywhere won't ultimately end up like that.
Yeah, it's just, again, people... I can imagine there's a lot of people that say, well, what's wrong with the digital ID system? Can't see any harms in it, and anybody that can is being kind of cynical and, conspiracy theorist and everything else. But it is the possibilities. I think the difference is a digital ID and understanding the database behind that. Once that's all connected to your biometrics that open your Apple phone, you've literally been on your phone too much today, you turn it off, or, that kind of thing. And the other thing is as well, next time we have a situation where there's kind of lockdowns or anything like that, which we know has happened, so that's not unrealistic to suggest, like people, even though, people were being sensible and maybe they were walking their dog out in an open area late at night because they knew they weren't going to bump into anybody, but you automatically get deducted money because you've left your house when there was a stay-at-home order. You've just been fined as soon as you leave your front door, and we could impose those fines when they were necessary. So, i.e., let's say, at the start of the pandemic and everything else, and people were very frightened and whatever, until, certain things sort of came out about it. Yes, if there was a group of people having a party somewhere on the beach, then, the police go over there and do whatever they do. But to be instantly fined for leaving your house, because I don't care if there was like a stay-at-home order, which is supposed to be in lockdown, and something happened to a family member.
Yeah, you go in.
Of course you're going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think from that kind of, the ability to be able to turn your money off if you're outside of a geolocation. That is the reality of a system like this. So you go there and maybe you get in your, eventually it will be your Tesla or whatever won't actually just start because you're not supposed to be driving today. And it all sounds so far away and dystopian, doesn't it? But I'm just thinking of that. You've got an emergency, you need to leave the house, but your money's deactivated if you breach those rules. And all of that could be done with a system like that.
I don't think so. People could say, "Oh, it's just conspiratorial or far-fetched," but the problem is because our freedoms are being eroded at the moment. With some of the digital acts and acts against protest and all that kind of stuff, it makes it feel a lot less far-fetched. And also things like the American government. One of the things they had to agree on in the last government round of funding, and how this got in there, because it was nothing to do with funding of the government, was that they wanted to agree on that the government should have the ability to immobilise vehicles. Why would that be in that they were discussing that during the what do they call it? When the government gets shut down and then they have to agree the new government federal budget. And that was one of the things that was discussed. And it's like, well, that's got nothing to do with the federal budget.
No.
So obviously they just decided that they want to put that legislation in so that every new car had the ability to be shut down remotely.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, okay, you could use it to say, you know, oh, we don't want people to drive if they're drunk or whatever. But also there's many other sort of more nefarious ways that you could use it, you know.
Yeah. You know, for every kind of thing that comes out, I'm very distracted by whatever that is outside, a big Harley Davidson or something.
It does sound like a Harley.
Yeah. You know, for all the sort of rational reasons you could say justify a system like that, I just don't think, you know, when you've got these spaces online where people make legitimate comments and they get silenced, and in many cases either fined or thrown in prison against the, what is it, Telecoms Communications Act, Communications Act, whatever it is. I'm trying to think what that actually called, but it doesn't matter. You know, you've got that kind of happening. You know, the 1984 novel kind of, this was where people had to watch what they said in their own homes.
Yeah.
You know, this people literally, you couldn't say these things anymore. And when you see them removing things, which again are legitimate concerns from some citizens, I'm not talking about, you know, these kind of, oh yeah, they threatened that they were going to do something to somebody, and of course, you know, fair enough, you have to investigate that. Somebody threatens that they're going to do this to this politician or whatever, that's fine. But when people are like saying, investigate this, or well, if the government are doing X, Y, Z, then why wouldn't they, blah, blah, blah. Like, answer that query, answer that response. That you don't just throw them, you know what I mean?
It's also the way that they go about getting data that I find it. So they put a lot of pressure on WhatsApp to build a backdoor. So it used to be that the government, well, it is currently still, but the government, if so say the police wanted to investigate you and they decided that your WhatsApp messages were deemed really important, they would go to WhatsApp and say, we want access to these messages for this and this reason. If it was legitimate, WhatsApp may unencrypt the messages and give them to them. Now, I've got no problem if they're, you know, trying to bust a paedophile ring or, you know, something really important, that's fine. But the government, for day-to-day basis, shouldn't have the ability to just access your messages. And obviously, certain European states have been trying to put a lot of pressure on Facebook, WhatsApp, Microsoft to allow backdoors so that they can just access what they need, what they feel they need to access when they want to access it. And the other thing that really gripes me is, like, we've had instances in this country with terrorism. So you look at the Manchester Arena bombing. The guy was on a terrorist watch list, and they still didn't, you know, they didn't stop that. So how does allowing the police to have access to all my private messages gonna really make that big of a difference? Because they can still go to WhatsApp and say, we need this, and if it's legitimate, they will give it to them. That's what I've sort of have a bit of a problem with.
I think you've got to also incorporate into this the use of AI. For scanning messages and whatever. Look, this, you know, I'm going to be careful as to what I say, but, you know, we had a situation during, you know, initial lockdown and everything else, the pandemic, where people were saying things online, questioning certain things or saying things, and we had with these fact checkers taking things down and removing posts, which Mark Zuckerberg himself has had to apologise for, because he said we were censoring things that people were saying which turned out to be true.
BBC did it as well.
You know, and I'm not going to talk about specific things. I'm not going to. I could, but I'm not going to mention those specific things that people were saying. Blah blah blah, and then they took it down, and later on they've had to apologise because actually the majority of the public in this case were right. In what they were saying, and the fact checkers decided no, you're not, and removed those posts. And then you're in a situation where, you know, people were getting visits by the police and stuff for posts made on social media. If you've got a system set up where every message is scanned, every email is scanned by AI, right, before it gets sent, which is basically what they're saying. Your messages and emails will be scanned by an AI system for keywords before it gets sent. Now let's end up in a similar situation where we've got another crisis, existential crisis, and we've been given these orders. let's have the same scenario, bearing in mind, it had to be responded to and apologised that in this case the people were right. And you've got people just wanting to talk like me and you, saying blah blah blah, don't do this or whatever, or have you heard there's risks with XYZ, blah blah blah. And we're in a situation now where they want to stop people talking about this or stop people making these suggestions, because in the example that we have, the government said, no, this is disinformation, it's harmful, and it's going to hurt people.
Yeah.
When in actual fact, they've now had to apologise and said actually what people were saying was true.
Well, in a lot of cases they haven't apologised.
Well, no, but a lot of this now has come out that people were very right in what they were saying.
Yeah.
So now you've got a situation where they can stop you even messaging because it contains a keyword.
So it's not even a case of you getting done for necessarily sending that message to someone else. It can be that you can get done for attempting to send that message, because that message doesn't.
Then you've got this system set up with digital ID and everything else, and it's when you've been caught talking about XYZ on your messages. Yeah. Private supposed messages, but in a national kind of crisis or whatever, they could say, right, we need to stop people talking about this because we deem it's damaging and it's blah blah blah. Even if it might be true, they can go, right, in the interim we deem this to be have negative consequences on the public, so we're going to stop anybody talking about this. So if you try and send a message, then it's just a very risky, when we've got examples of what's happened before, where mistakes have been made, and like you say, in many places there hasn't been any accountability.
No.
If that kind of thing happens again, but they've got this additional level of control, it would be justification to use it for means outside of what it was originally intended.
And the thing is, you can ruin someone's life. If someone gets put in prison for something, for saying, for having an opinion, that it's not like it's hate speech or anything like that. For having an opinion that's against the government narrative, that's really dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, on a totally different thing, but do you remember the whole post office scandal? Mm-hmm. So there was the sub postmasters that there was a glitch within the I'm sure it was Fujitsu or the system, and it made out that they'd stolen money. So rather than anyone going, well, let's investigate, really is this genuine, it all got covered up, and hundreds and hundreds of people went to prison, ended up with criminal records, some committed suicide, a lot of them lost their whole livelihood, lost everything. And only now, 15-20 years later, has it
longer than that, isn't it?
It might be longer. It could be in the 90s, maybe 25 years later, or 30 years. But anyway, only now is it sort of they starting to sort of wrap up what's gone on, and people starting to get pardons for the criminal records and some funds,
reimbursed and
and stuff, and it's like that, what do they call why can't I think of the word? Oh my god. But they're starting to get paid out for what's the things that went the failing compensation. Thank you. Oh my god. We need something that compensates for lack of IQ today. But and that's that was quite it should have been very, very straightforward. So nowadays, what's the chances of if there is an incorrect government policy and people do end up in trouble for it, what is the actual chance of people anything 5 years down the line them saying we're that's the bigger problem. And there was a lot when X was Twitter and the American government was able to influence X. None of this is conspiracy now. Obviously, all the Twitter files have come out. It's all out there that the FBI, the government, the White House were pushing Twitter to shadow ban people, to hand over information. All this kind of stuff. Some of which was actually used to then try and take them to court. And there was one guy in particular. Again, I won't mention any names, but he actually took the White House to court for it. And last I heard, it was still going, still ongoing. But there had been no proof that them silencing him was the right thing that they should have done in the court of law.
Yeah.
Because nowhere could they prove that what he was saying was wrong.
That was coming.
And as it's turned out,
this is exactly what I mean.
Yeah, and as it turned out, he was right. But he was cancelled. He was shadow banned. And
I understand as well that it is a difficult one because you do have necessarily, corners of social media and corners of the internet that need to be monitored and controlled.
Yeah.
And there are a great deal of people who, get affected, damaged by these things, and there are certain amount of people that need protecting from certain activity. I understand all that completely, but it's a very thin line, though, isn't it?
Well,
if you go over that line to taking things down because you don't like them, or it's not,
it doesn't fit with the narrative that you're trying to push.
Yeah,
and also just really quickly, one of the things I had a problem was. I do apologise. I won't say the 5-letter word anymore. Is that the government knew that the information they were acting on was from the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization knew that the information they were acting on was just third-party information from China. So they already knew that the initial information they had wasn't enough to have any kind of level of certainty about what they were saying. And yet they still used it in a way that it was pushed as if it was the gospel. And that's the thing. Like, there's a level of responsibility that every government agency should have to know where their information comes from and whether that is sufficient information to be able to put people in a situation where they could be sent to prison for saying something to the opposite. Yeah. And if you know that information isn't accurate, how on earth can you do that?
No, there's again, it depends on the subject, it depends on the topic, and you could come up with a mountain of different examples, and it's I'm always trying to, especially when we're talking on these things, like give benefit to the people that can go, it's not all bad kind of thing, but you've got to really highlight the possibilities of having systems like this in place as to what could happen and end up in unprecedented situations like we have seen over the last sort of 5 years. Then we can it becomes a different game as to what's considered control and what's considered security and what's considered protection. Do you know what I mean? It's like anyway, right, time is gone. We'll be back after this short commercial break.
Tough day at the building site. Need to pamper your leathery weathered skin? Try Cotswolds reusable exfoliating gravel. With a hint of 5-to-1 concrete and ballast, it will leave your skin feeling red raw and smelling like a wheelbarrow. Cotswolds reusable exfoliating gravel. Buy now while stocks last. International shipping available.
And we're back. All right.
Yeah.
So
I feel like it was an intense half an hour.
Yeah, it was a little bit deeper than we usually do. It's strange, isn't it, how sometimes the conversation is different depending on the week we've had, and so perhaps we are a little bit sort of going a little bit deep today. Quick, where is it? Come on.
Which one are we going for the other half an hour?
No, you've got to use the same one, otherwise it's
Mr. Owl.
Yeah,
Mr. Owl. I don't trust owls. Anything that can turn its head 360. It worries me.
Yeah,
it worries me.
I was trying to think of something.
And they're beady-eyed.
Like anything that's like a corkscrew.
Yeah, don't trust a corkscrew.
No, or a screwdriver.
No chance.
So with regards to all of that we were talking about, I think, for all those people that think, that could never happen, we just have to wait and see. I mean, they pretty much know. I'm not going to continue this for much longer, but they pretty much know it's coming, whereas meat consumption will be limited.
Yeah.
And they will be able to Do you know what I mean? You know, that I think that's the whole essence of what I'm talking about. Being able to police something like that, manage it and control it, is possible.
Yeah.
With a fully connected digital ID system that connects your bank, your food habits, your eating habits, driving habits, exercise habits, electricity usage. All of those things in one can go, well, we can use these metrics to discern what it is you're entitled to. You know what I mean?
And also, it's a dangerous thing because of, obviously, you know, AI. That, you know, if you then using AI to do this stuff.
Well, it makes a system like that even more kind of feasible and easier
also problematic.
Yeah.
You know, you've not got a rational person thinking, right, you know, what's right and what's wrong, and it's always difficult when you've got one person deciding what's right and what's wrong, which is kind of why I like community notes on X, because they feel a little bit less biased.
The amount of posts that I've seen where I would have gone, oh wow, that's pretty shocking or whatever, and then underneath it reads, no, this is actually from the original footage was 6 years ago, and it's completely unrelated to this subject. And
it's always funny when
somewhere else, and you go, oh,
when someone asks Grok as well, and it totally goes against, you know, an official, you know, official American government statement or something, and they ask Grok, and it's like, no, actually, that's not true. You're like, okay,
so there's quite a few sort of, rather than just outright being told by somebody who's like monitoring it or moderating what can be posted and what can't be posted, so therefore you never get to see certain things. With this, you see it, and then you also get it clarified as to the probability of it. You've got Grok giving a sort of a small logical rational breakdown of it, and then you've got people underneath who can freely correct it and or add the speculation to it or whatever. There's quite a good system, and it's community managed.
It's going to be interesting because I said, I think last week about American military using Anthropic for targeting.
Anthea Turner.
I talk about Anthea Turner. Bring back Anthea Turner.
Anthea Turner and
Anneka Rice, and all the world will be good again.
Anthea Turner.
You know, if we go back to Saturday nights and Anneka Rice is jumping out of helicopters, we'll be fine.
Anthea Turner sounds like a muscular problem you're getting later
your
on.
right knee.
But the American using Anthropic.
So and apparently, I thought it was the American government that was stopping using Anthropic, but apparently it was Anthropic weren't happy about what they were doing.
Oh, right.
So it does make me wonder whether there is a clear divide between certain influential people in AI and some people seeming to be more aware of the misuse and there's some of the safety issues around AI, and not all AI companies are equal. I mean, a lot of people talk about Sam Altman maybe not having the same morals as as the other leaders, and whether that's true or not. But we may all get to a space where certain AI companies don't want to have their technologies used. I mean, there was a certain AI company this week that said they created a model that they couldn't release because it would be very easy to use for hacking. So they're not going to release that model. That does instill me with a little bit of confidence that maybe the AI space will police itself a little bit more using, in
the early
morals.
stages. In the early stages. They were saying it's quite a risk, the amount of people having Claude bot on their on their computers, because there have been some cases where the Claude bot being given a task and it literally just gone off on its own thing and started crypto mining, even though that was totally unrelated to...
Worrying, isn't it? Sorry, I just forgot to turn my phone onto airplane mode. In an attempt to do that, I put my torch on. Not quite sure why.
There you go.
This is it. And
you get fined now for having your phone on during a recording session.
Sorry, that's it. And agents, like AI agents.
This emergence of agents is kind of, that could be. I mean, if they can just go off like that and start doing their own thing, that's.
I mean, in some respects,
if it's connected to the internet,
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I've been out
typical
of
Skynet situation.
Oh yeah, but,
it?
I mean,
You know.
I've been out of bin bags for 2 weeks, and I keep forgetting. But if my AI agent was going to order them in for me, I'd be well up for that.
I thought you meant like you've been eating out of bin bags.
I've been eating out of bin bags for 2
living
weeks.
out
I
of
need an
bin
AI
bags.
agent to tell me what to do.
Yeah, I got really confused then. Which doesn't take a lot.
No. But yeah, no.
There's
been some other sort of interesting stuff going on, like, because I was talking to you about this earlier. Like, there seems to have been a bit of a shift within people as well, because there's certain things that become popular again. So through all this time when people have been getting, focused on news cycles that have been really, doomsaying and whatnot, but there's also been, people been becoming a bit more nostalgic, and they seem to be getting back into things that, like collectibles are a big thing again, and people are really in, there's noticing trends with people getting into things that are physical.
Yeah.
And it is that thing where maybe we will, with the use of people, using a lot of AI and all these kind of things, maybe we will start to have an appreciation for what is tangible,
Yeah.
And, maybe as much as we can have concerns about what's going on in terms of, AI and what the government's doing and all this stuff, people still have, it wouldn't be the first time we've been in a situation where there's technologies that can totally change, revolutionise and change things, and people opt not to use them because they want things that are more connected or more physical or whatever,
Yeah. I mean, humans will always have that need, whether they realise it or not, don't they?
Although I did see a scary video earlier
of
it's a factory in China, and all the factory workers are wearing headsets with video.
Right.
And apparently what it was is a company has basically said to all these workers in the factory, we'll pay you an extra X amount an hour, but we want you to wear this headset. So they've all gone, yeah, no problem.
Right.
And what it is, it's teaching the AI what they do with their hands so it can do that job.
Doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
And I can totally believe it. Like, someone I know is doing a job where he's going to be basically teaching AI to...
Well, did you see that thing that emerged the other day? And, I'll have to say allegedly, because I haven't looked into it myself to be able to confirm it, but... there was a couple of videos popped up on it that it basically been revealed that Pokemon Go, which is where people were trying to find Pokemon and take photos with their phones, was actually one of the biggest data mapping operations of map networks and areas, and some of the areas that they really needed to map down to the finest detail that were tricky from, the available data from like Google Maps and everything else and satellite imagery, was where they were placing the Pokemons so that they could go and gather like multiple shots and data and projection mapping. So, and that this is actually going to be used for robotics and AI navigation for that kind of thing, that they, it's additional data that they couldn't get from normal mapping. And they've sold all of that data, or that's what it was all set up for, was a data grab and technical analysis of key areas. And they've obtained all that information.
So is that why they put like whatever it was, a Snorlax on Epstein Island, so someone would go there and map Epstein Island in case they ever needed to know where his front door and his swimming pool and his utility cupboard were?
I don't think that...
they weren't that far into it.
I don't think they would have had it, would they? I mean, if anything, probably he was behind the whole thing anyway.
Yeah,
do you know
possibly.
what I mean? It's like, seems like they were behind everything. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like from some of the leaked.
Yeah. Which again,
but yes, it's possible, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, data. So data is. You're admitting that's possible. Thank you.
That's a really random place to put one.
Yeah.
And what did you say? What was it? Pokemon character?
Yeah.
What did you say it was?
I think I said a Snorlax, which I think is a Pokemon.
Oh, is that a Pokemon?
I think so.
Because I have no idea.
Wrong.
I've never had anything to do with Pokemon.
No, well, I was a little bit too old for it, I think. So I had a friend who was really into it. And he was also into like Dragon Ball Z and some of the other cartoons.
Right.
So I think the first game maybe came out in like 95, and then the card game came out properly in like 98 or 99. So I would have been like 13, 14.
Right.
So I felt like I was a little bit too old for it. But he was the same age as me, and he loved it, and he really got into it. Yeah, so I never really, and like other things of that era that I never really got into, like Final Fantasy. Like it seems to be the same kind of people were into these, you know,
World
certain.
of Warcraft. Was that around then?
Oh, I don't know about that
A
one.
bit earlier.
Yeah, I remember the first, like I said before, the first PC game I ever played, Prince of Persia.
Oh, really? Is that the
Yeah.
first
I think so. Well, no,
PC? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you said this the other week, didn't you?
the first game.
it was on Amiga and Atari ST. Just wondering what it's sitting outside. It's like a really low Harley Davidson day or something.
Maybe. Is it, what day is it? Friday is it the 16th of April? I don't know. Something of April.
17th.
17th of April is Harley Davidson Day in the UK.
Yeah.
So there's when I went to France last year, as we were going through customs, there was loads of Harleys, and it looked like it was all older gentlemen and women. But that some of those were like they had gone to town on them. I mean, the level of bolt-on goodies they'd put on them was impressive.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate a Harley. I don't think I could ride one because I don't have very good, not very good with balance on motorbikes.
You're not?
No, they were never really for me.
Yeah, but they're different beasts altogether, aren't they? Like the big, you know. Like wide.
And you just think like if you get it slightly wrong, it's the centre of gravity. Yeah.
Well, I remember my dad had quite a big. It was a Yamaha.
VMAX?
No, it's a Virago, I think, but it
Virago.
was a big.
Yeah, chopper style.
Yeah, like that kind of thing. And I remember him explaining to me that like when you actually go around the bend, not like on a push bike where you'd steer into it, you're actually steering the other way.
You're leaning and steering.
Yeah, you're counteracting, so you actually have to pull
right
on that side as you're going around the
Yeah.
bend. I don't know because I've never ridden one, but you know, it sticks in my mind that you'd have to get used to riding one of those things before you could become. You know, I'd like to just jump on one and try and
And some people really chuck them about like they're not a sports bike, but people do throw them about like they are. Yeah,
you know what I mean, like wheel spinning and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, sorry. It does sound like Harley Davidson Day.
Yeah. I've always thought it'd be quite fun, you know, to have like one of those. What are they called? They're like the Tourers, but they're sort of half road, half off road. Bikes would be pretty cool because you could go anywhere on it.
Yeah, they're quite high up things.
Yeah,
like,
but they've got like normally got semi-knobbly tyres.
Yeah, semi-knobbly.
Just a few tiny penises.
Michelin semi-knobbly.
Yeah, that's it. But I've always thought they'd be really fun.
Yeah, definitely. Just to go on a long journey on one of those.
Well, you know, you could go. You go on a long journey. You go right. Well, I want to go off road, and you could just, you know, go for some woodland or whatever.
Have you ridden a motorbike before?
Yeah, but I wasn't very good. When I was a kid, my friend had some little, I guess they were like little 50cc crossers when we were about 12.
Oh, wow.
So went and did a little bit of, you know, and that was really fun. But then when I got a bit older, there was a thing like everyone seemed to get a hold of like what was called a Honda C90.
Oh, right.
It was a real drop frame, like 90cc, almost like a moped, but not. They were twist and go, no gears. And I had one of them for a bit. But yeah, never proper road bike. You know, it was just off road, messing about. You know,
my dad used to let me ride. You know, he taught me how to ride his motorbike.
Yeah.
I was young though then.
4.
No, not that young. Probably about the same age, maybe 12, something like that. 12. And then, but that was a Jawa 90 Japanese bike, and the gears were. I don't know what they're supposed to be, but it was the opposite way to most gearboxes. So it was like 1 down, 4 up, or 1 up, 4 down.
Yeah, rather than 1 down, 4 up.
But you know, I managed to sort of do it. But apart from that, I'd never really ridden one.
I remember a friend of mine's dad had a 650cc Suzuki Crosser. Wow. And it was massive. And we used to go in the garage and like try and sit on it and stuff. But it was huge.
Yeah.
Like I remember thinking that it stood like that tall.
Yeah.
Now obviously being grown up now it wouldn't be.
Yeah,
it was really cool. And his brother dropped it and broke the handle and he glued it back on. And then his dad drove down the road. I pressed the clutch and the handle just folded in half.
Oh no! Is this the first time this has been revealed?
Yeah, hopefully his dad. I mean, I don't think his dad's particularly the type to listen to podcasts or even interact with the internet. But
now you've just given that away.
Yeah.
So there's a chance.
There's a chance that he's in big trouble.
Oh no!
His dad was a big menacing character as well, so you didn't really want to upset him. So
Fair enough.
You've known about it.
Fair enough. Like I say, there's still a chance he could be watching.
Yeah, he could be. So I won't talk about the.
Yeah. But yeah, I know what you mean. I remember this massive Yamaha Virago thing was like huge. Yeah, massive.
It's funny, isn't it, when you think back to so when I was that age, motorbikes were a real thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't feel like they are quite so much now anymore for kids that are 12 to 15 to try and get hold of a motorbike and go off-roading on it.
Yeah.
And air rifles were a massive thing. Everybody wanted an air rifle.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think that's, quite the thing anymore for 15-year-olds or 14-year-olds,
No, I suppose it's always going to take us back to the technology thing, isn't it? But
I mean, I remember I must have been 13 or 14, a friend getting a Fiat Panda 4x4, and he lived in a house that was on some farmland.
A Fiat Panda 4x4?
Yeah.
Do they do those?
Yeah, they even do them now.
Really?
Yeah, terrible cars. But the original ones, the boxy ones.
Right, okay.
And it was
I've
really...
never seen one of them.
Yeah, we just used to go driving over the fields. And I don't know why I did that we were on a motorbike, so we were in a car.
I thought you were riding a horse.
Yeah. No, that's something I never did, horse riding.
A panda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pandas would be really slow. And it was a slow car, so it was true to its name.
Right.
No, I once rode an elephant, but never a horse.
Yeah.
Horses always scared me a little bit.
Fiat currency.
Yeah.
Which is...
Yeah.
What, explain it to me.
Well,
it's like a fiat currency.
Yeah, centralised currency.
Centralised
pound, dollar,
currency.
whatever, yeah.
So there's a Fiat Panda.
It's a centralised standardised panda.
Yeah, which has a certain amount of value.
Yeah, well, it's like 50 quid back then. I think they're worth some money now, though.
Really?
Yeah.
There probably aren't many left.
No.
Anyway.
We transgress.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I know what you mean. I mean, there were a lot of different interests, weren't there, when,
But I feel like I've got to that age where I keep going in my day. But not saying in my day, but I'm more or less doing that. I'm not saying in my day, but we are more or less doing that.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was now, but I mentioned a film. Oh, what was it? And Lacey was like, yeah, but... Because I was mentioning the graphics, or the effects. Do you know what I mean? And Lacey was like, yeah, but that film is 50 years old. And I was like, no, it's not, is it? And then I worked it out, and I was like, oh yeah, it actually is.
I know. I was scanning through movies last night trying to find something to watch, and I come across Star Wars: Empire Strikes Back. Always got a soft spot for the original Star Wars. Right. What do you mean, that was disgusting?
Yeah.
I didn't say I had a hard on for them or anything. I said I have a soft spot, which is a perfectly normal thing to say. It didn't require that kind of
soft spot for.
Yeah, it's comforting. It's from a kid watching them, and they are 47, 48 years old.
Yeah. I think it might have been Aliens I was talking about.
Oh, yeah. Great films. I did rewatch.
Alien.
So when Alien Romulus come out, when it was released recently, I went back and sort of watched through the Aliens and Prometheus and all the other ones. And I've always, I don't know why, but I've always had a thing with movies where I can forgive sci-fi films if they're a little bit cheesy, which I find hard to do with other genres because I just really like sci-fi films, I guess. But they were great. I remember watching the original Predator and being scared out of my mind because we went round to a friend's house and his brother had got a bootleg copy when you used to buy them off the car boot or whatever. And I must have been. So when did that come out? Was it early 90s or?
I'm running out of battery on this, which is why
but this is important.
I know. I should have plugged it in before because I was using it yesterday and I forgot. Next time I'll charge it.
So Predator.
What are we going to say?
I'm going to say 1992. 93?
I reckon about 89.
It could be. It could be. Was it before
I reckon 89.
Terminator? Yeah, it was before Terminator, because his speech... it's funny when you watch the old Arnie films, you see his speech come on through the years.
1987.
Wow, is that how... Okay, so I was probably...
I was going to say late 80s, but
yeah, wow.
Even that's a bit of a shocker, to be honest.
So I would have been... I definitely wasn't 2, because that wouldn't have happened. So I bet I was 6 or 7.
Right, okay.
And watching Predator was like, oh my God, that was the scariest thing ever.
There was a lot of hype about it, though, wasn't it? But it was one of those very well done films where you didn't actually have to see much of the Predator or whatever it was. Do you know what I mean? It was like the way it was done in the jungle and hearing the noise and not...
Yeah.
And then it was like people just getting slaughtered and like, what's that? And
it makes it a lot scarier. The thing I like about really well done films from the late 70s to the early 90s is they did this thing where they combined visual effects with models, which they've since come back to a bit.
Yeah.
And visual effects on top of models is really good, because it makes it a lot more believable.
Yeah.
And also because they didn't solely rely on visual... What?
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking, like, I'll say in a minute, I was thinking about Ed 209 in RoboCop.
Yeah.
Which is like one of those kind of... Even though at the time... It's still one of those like really bad examples when you watch it now. It's so obviously like this model thing. But anyway, carry on. Yeah, they didn't have to rely solely on.
Because they couldn't rely solely on amazing graphics and whatnot, because it was expensive. I feel like you did have to put a bit more effort into the plot, and you had a lot of great films in the 80s, 90s.
The way it was filmed, the way it was shot. Let's just have a big explosion.
The script writing, being able to build momentum and
to be able to make something scary without ever actually seeing the thing that's supposed to be scary.
Do you remember the Blair Witch Project?
I love that film.
When that came out, and it was like, is it real? Is it not real? And
well, I think we talked about this, but like when I first watched it, it was we did talk about this on one episode, because it always comes up, doesn't it? But we got like a pretty shitty copy on tape, so it made it look even more grainy and kind of raw. And it was actually, there was a lot of hype about whether it was real or not. I found an interesting thing out about that the other day, that they actually gave the actors less food than they needed.
Right.
So they had very limited food, so they were constantly hungry and tired.
Yeah.
And that actually made it more realistic, because they did actually look stressed and tired.
Yeah. Well,
because they were only given like a minimal amount of food. How true that is, I don't know, but it came up on...
It makes sense.
Yeah. But again, that's the thing from like a creative filmmaking point of view, that you think, well, in actual fact, let's make these people niggly.
Yeah.
Give them less food than they actually need, so that they look a little bit restless and on edge.
Which Christian Bale film was it where he lost all that weight? Is it The Pianist or no? Which one is it?
Is that the classic meme where he's got legs around his ankles? That film?
I don't know. It's been years, but anyway, he lost
and he's pulling like this.
Maybe. Where he lost so much weight though, and he must have been like, malnourished, properly malnourished and everything. So when you're playing a person that is in that scenario,
well, Matthew McConaughey, however you say it, Matthew McConaughey, he did that for Dallas Buyers Club, didn't he?
Yeah,
really had to
and then you've got the other end of the spectrum where you've got, oh my God, don't do this, Brendan Fraser, who you don't remember Brendan Fraser?
No.
Of the Bewitched. Did you ever see Bewitched? With Liz Hurley, and it's like devil.
Oh, I think I'm in the band from Ireland. The girl band,
No.
Bewitched.
You were like, Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser.
You remember him. And he had to put on loads of weight for that film, The Whale, that I think he maybe won an Oscar for the year before last or something.
I don't, no.
No. I can't. You do know who he is.
You know what I was saying to you earlier about like how you're really pale and I'm bright orange. It looks.
Yeah, we got that picture there. Yeah, with one incredibly orange guy.
Yeah, one incredibly pale guy. I have no idea who Brendan Fraser is. I've never seen him before in my life.
Well, if you look at what movies he's been in,
The Whale. Rental Family, The Mummy.
The Mummy. You must have seen the original
No,
Mummy.
I've never seen any of those.
Oh my God, you haven't lived.
You're quite right. There's a lot of films I haven't seen, and yet we talk about like Police Academy and
I know, yeah.
stuff. Like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like, I really have had it. Shit, videography or whatever. Would you call it a discography of videos watched? I know it's a discography of
Music.
albums.
Yeah.
And music. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It was interesting. I was
I'm lacking.
talking about things that have become popular again, because vinyl's become really popular again.
Well, they say that, but it never really kind of went away. I still think you.
Yeah, but it became a lot more cult, and now it's a lot. There's a lot more people that have bought record players again and have been sort of getting their collections of vinyl again.
Okay.
And I think more new music is being pressed onto vinyl again, which is good.
Yeah.
Really good. I went into the centre of town the other day. I didn't even realise HMV was still a thing.
Is it?
Yeah, still there in the middle of town.
They all closed down, didn't they?
That's what I thought. And then it was still there, and I went in, and it was pretty much the same, but they've obviously realised what they can still try and sell.
Right.
So there was more like music merchandise. But I mean, honestly, the amount of years it's been since I've been into a shop and they've got one of the old school poster racks.
Oh,
it's so cool. Yeah,
things,
you flick through it and have a look at all the posters, and they had a lot of T-shirts.
Yeah.
It does seem like, artist T-shirts have become fashionable again. Because obviously they're quite big in like the 80s, 90s. You know, everyone had Nirvana T-shirts, AC/DC, whatever, and they've come full circle again.
Right.
And they had a lot of vinyl, like
Did
a
they?
whole half a floor that was just vinyl.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good. Yeah, it's just like you always seem to see. I don't know when the people that pop up and they're really into vinyl. It's like you've clearly always been into vinyl and you're still buying vinyl.
Yeah.
Rather than these people.
But I know
who
a number
are,
of people that went out of that phase and then they've come back into it, and
Right,
it does
fair
seem to be
enough.
there's been a
Yeah.
resurgence.
Yeah. Which is good.
Yeah, it's really good, and I think there's definitely something to be said for listening to music on vinyl, because there's a depth and a warmth that you don't get digitally. Well, it's very hard to recreate. It's not that you don't get it, because if you can recreate it, as you well know.
Yeah.
But it is still feels slightly different. You know.
Yeah, and I feel like we've spoken about this before, but you know, also going back, certainly there was a certain way you had to record a record to be able to get it onto vinyl.
Yeah.
Because there were certain things you couldn't do with the low end, and for example, you couldn't have the bass go from left to right quickly because it would make the needle jump. And
Right, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, there's certain things that like they had to do it a certain way. That had to be a certain amount of frequency roll off.
Right.
So you know, like when you hear the same or music that's coming out now, where people don't have to pay that much attention to the low end and the top end, and you that's why it sounds different, because it's people don't have to give the same consideration to what's below 40 hertz and stuff. I mean, they should do if they're mastering properly and stuff. But
I was thinking about this. I sorry,
No, it's all right.
did a show
You keep saying sorry.
at I think it was the Brixton Academy many years ago, and they had a really big old analog sound desk for the monitors on the stage. And it was fine, you know, happily use it, and it was really nice. Oh, I can't remember what brand it was. That went quick.
Yeah, definitely.
But when I was using it, I was thinking about how it must have been when people were recording with analog all those years ago.
Yeah.
And your only options to sort of try and put effects into it were, because you couldn't really put any effects afterwards. Very little on the mastering side could be done.
Yeah.
Microphone placement, you know, multi microphones to try and pick up different frequencies and stuff, and it was a real art, you know, to do that.
Yeah. And that's why still some people do it that way.
Yeah,
You can, like, you know, I listen to Warren Hewitt a lot, who's produced like a pro.
I just
on
thought
YouTube.
you were going to say Warren G. I just listen to Warren G a lot.
That as well. Yeah, but he also you know, they still do, great engineers and certain producers, mix engineers, and that still do those things because they still sound the way they do.
Yeah.
So rather than just going straight into a DI and putting some waves, distortion on, you know what I mean? If you're actually setting up a good amp with a good head unit, a nice microphone at the right distance and everything, the room's right and the tone, you're going to really capture a great sound that way, and it is how it should be done, maybe.
I think it becomes expensive, or it can be more expensive, why, you know, a lot of people are probably pushed to do it, you know, other ways.
Well, it's a convenience. I mean, that's really one of the main reasons to go digital, is because of the convenience. You know, you open up another project, you don't have to recall an entire mix from paper and set all the faders and stuff as to where they were, and the EQs and the filters to get that same session back.
Just where was I?
Massive convenience thing. You just click open and it does it, you know. But yeah, I think the way that music was recorded, and some of that, because it had to be done that way, because of the tape machines, because of the vinyl, the way the vinyl was made. And I think that's why we always latch on to a specific sound from that era that we go is, you know,
it's iconic,
irreplaceable. You know what I mean? Like, it's got that iconic, recognizable sound, and it was because of necessary processes.
So for you, is that like Celine Dion in the 90s?
You always, what is it with you and Celine Dion?
Well, I like animals. She reminds me of a particular type of dog with the so that's why. She's just ingrained in my memory. Sorry, Celine. If you ever see this, don't take me to court.
Oh no, because prayers to her, because she's really struggling now, isn't she?
I don't know.
Yeah, I saw something. I can't remember, but yeah, it wasn't nice. Like a debilitating kind of.
I'm guessing she must be in her 70s.
Yeah, I don't know what it was that I saw, but it said
thoughts
she was
to
going
Celine.
But I know you were only joking anyway. I just wondered why you always bring up Celine Dion.
I don't know. You know, there's those people.
Actually, did you bring up Celine Dion? No, you were talking about early Cher.
Oh yeah, they just, you know,
working out to.
And next time I'll make sure I only bring up Cilla Black's music career. It's fine.
Cilla Black's music career. Oh dear. Well, what a day.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
What a day to be alive.
Yeah, that was interesting. Definitely a different kind of vibe today.
Yes.
But
for next week,
it's interesting when you watch these things back and you think, what the heck happened to him? You know what I mean? Compared to the week before, it's like a different person in a different skin, like a skin changer. It's kind of how I feel today.
Yeah,
but you know,
someone else's.
Yeah, well, like you said earlier as well, I think if it wasn't so dull and rain, I'm not complaining about it because I know that's all we do. Like, but doesn't it make a difference? You know, when the other week I think we'd had a few hot days in a row, and been outside and getting some sun and some fresh air, and you get to the weekend, you're like, come on, let's have it, and you're kind of like a little bit excited. It's got the summer vibe, and you put some tunes on and get in the mood, and then it's like you're looking out the window thinking, oh, my pants getting wet because they're on the line. You know what I mean? And it's like,
well, maybe
it's a different focus point, isn't it? As to, do I need to get the washing in? Is it going to rain? Then let's put some tunes on, and because the sun's shining and whatever.
Definitely.
Anyway, I'm not complaining. No. Thanks for watching. As I've said, please do check out the description for more information. And wherever you are watching, please do give it a like, follow, subscribe, especially if you enjoyed it. And it's really much appreciated. It helps the channel out. And thank you very much. And I think that's it for this week, isn't it?
We'll see you next week.
Oh, you're going fishing, aren't you?
Yes.
We'll work it out.
We always work something out.
We will be back very, very soon. Take it away, Joe.
Goodbye.
Based upon the quality and quantity of the data they continue to return.